By October of 1995, Shawn Michaels was walking a tightrope he didn't even know he was on. His talent was carrying him one way, but everything else he did outside of the ring was pulling him another. The company told the world he was jumped by 9 Marines. Shawn repeated the story for years, but the truth, the real truth, sat buried under egos, pills, and a whole lot of fear. On a cold night in Syracuse, inside a parking lot behind a club that should have closed an hour earlier, Shawn Michaels found out exactly how far his luck could be pushed. By the mid-90s, Shawn was everything Vince McMahon wanted in a star. Young, flashy, incredible in the ring, and unlike a lot of the old guard, he fit the new direction. But there was another side to him. Shawn wasn't sleeping, Shawn wasn't sober, and Shawn wasn't listening to anybody. He had the Kliq behind him: Nash, Hall, Waltman, Hunter, a group of guys who protected each other on the road, in the ring, and especially backstage. But at this point, their influence did more harm than good. Nobody told Shawn no, nobody checked him, and nobody slowed him down. He partied constantly. His temper was short. He disrespected veterans of the ring. He pushed buttons backstage. He pushed buttons in bars, and sooner or later, something was going to give. That moment would arrive on a night when his backup wasn't there. No Hall, no Nash, and no Hunter. All 3 were overseas on tour. The one night Shawn needed the Kliq was the one night they weren't anywhere near him. Before we keep it moving, we gotta pause for the cause real quick. There's way too much wrestling to keep up with these days. It's honestly exhausting, but JCW, that's one show I never miss. Check this out.
JCW Lunacy. New episodes every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. For over 25 years, JCW has delivered the very best in pro wrestling entertainment, bringing fans deep storytelling drama, gut-busting comedy, and unbelievable in-ring action. From wild characters to unforgettable rivalries, JCW has built a legacy that spans generations of fans. Whether you've been watching since day one or you're brand new to the chaos, there's never been a better time to join the madness.
Whoa, take a look at this!
Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube and catch up on past episodes right now. JCW Lunacy. It's more than wrestling, it's a way of life.
After wrestling Davey Boy Smith that night, Shawn and Waltman checked into a Motel 8 in Syracuse, and Davey Boy Smith came with them. They barely set their bags down before talking about drinking until sunrise. A group of fans overheard them, said they knew a spot, Club 37. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't safe, and it wasn't the kind of place where 3 drunk wrestlers should have walked into at 1 a.m. But this was Shawn Michaels. He didn't see danger, he saw a party. Shawn was already buzzed, already confident, and already on the hunt for trouble without even realizing it. Club 37 was closing in less than an hour, so the drinks, they came fast. Shots, and then more on top of it. Waltman later admitted he couldn't even remember parts of the night. That's how hard they were partying. And Shawn, like he always did, started scouting the room. He found a girl on the dance floor. Beautiful, friendly, into the moment, and unfortunately, connected to the wrong man. Her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old soldier Douglas Griffith, was in the club too. He saw Shawn with her, and he did not like it. He warned Shawn once, simple, direct, "She's with me." Shawn, barely standing and full of liquid courage, brushed it off. He kept dancing with her, kept flirting, and kept running his mouth. And in the 90s, with the reputation Shawn had, that was a dangerous combination. People in the club felt the tension. They saw the shift in the air. They saw Douglas staring daggers through Shawn. A bar bouncer, Tony Alberti, could tell things were about to go bad. He wanted them off his property before something made the news, so he stepped in. He told his girlfriend Donna to drive the wrestlers back to their motel. That decision probably saved Shawn's life, but it didn't save him from the beating he was about to take. Donna pulled her car around, a little Pontiac Sunbird, 2 doors, tight interior, messy trunk. Shawn couldn't even walk. They basically carried him out of the club, his head rolling, his eyes half closed. Waltman and Davey Boy dragged him to the passenger seat and wedged him inside. But watching from the dark was Griffith and 2 of his soldier friends. They knew the girl Donna. They saw her helping the wrestlers. They mocked her for it. "What are you doing with those fake wrestlers?" they would ask. And that's when Davey Boy snapped. He lunged forward from the back seat and threw a punch, blind, drunk, and off balance. Shawn threw one too. Barely a punch, more of a stumble with a fist at the end of it. But those 2 weak shots were enough to start the storm. Douglas grabbed Shawn through the open door and yanked him out like a rag doll. Shawn hit the pavement, his head bounced, his body went limp, and that's when it turned ugly. Douglas slammed the car door into Shawn's head, once, twice, and a 3rd time. Steel-toed boots came next, straight to the face, over and over. Shawn's eyelid tore, blood started running down his cheek, and his eyes began to swell shut. Waltman tried to help, but he was too far gone. He managed a few karate kicks and fell over. Davey Boy fought his way out of the tiny back seat, clawing his way past the door frame. He managed to grab Douglas and drag him back, but the other 2 soldiers pulled him off. One tried gouging out his eye, scratches, blood, bruising across the face. Davey Boy's daughter later remembered seeing him when he came home. She said it looked like someone tried to take her father's eyes out. Meanwhile, Shawn was curled on the ground, barely conscious. The beating didn't stop until Donna ran inside to get help. Bouncers charged out and broke it up, but the damage was already done. Shawn was wrecked, and his career might have just changed forever. Paramedics took Shawn to St. Joseph's Hospital, and doctors listed his injuries. Torn eyelid, 2 black eyes, bleeding from the ears, deep facial lacerations, concussion, and severe swelling. One paramedic noted Shawn was almost unresponsive. Davey Boy had cuts, scratches, and bruises everywhere. He needed stitches. Waltman got off easy, physically. Shawn didn't remember anything. He's admitted multiple times that he has no memory of the fight. Backstage in WWF, the reaction wasn't concern. It was embarrassment. Old school guys were furious. Jim Ross would sum it up later. A top guy losing a bar fight in public, that's death in this business. Bill Watts said if it happened under him, Shawn, Davey, and Waltman would have all been fired. But the office didn't fire anybody. Instead, they rewrote the story. The WWF could not let the truth get out. The partying, the pills, the girls, the soldiers, and breaking kayfabe with Davey Boy. So they built a new version of events. Instead of 1 soldier and 2 buddies, it became 9 Marines. Instead of Shawn being drunk and helpless, it became a heroic champion ambushed by trained fighters. Instead of a messy bar fight, it became tragedy. On TV, Gorilla Monsoon stripped Shawn of the Intercontinental Championship, saying the injuries were too severe. Shawn Michaels handed the belt to Dean Douglas. Minutes later, Razor Ramon, another Kliq member, beat Douglas. Douglas later said it felt like a setup to get the belt from Shawn to Razor without Shawn losing. Backstage, Douglas would claim he saw Shawn look normal and then come out of makeup looking like he'd been hit with a hammer. He never recovered from that politics hit. His WWF career sank, but Shawn's? WWF used the violence to turn him into a sympathetic babyface. A few weeks after the beating, the company pulled the trigger on something that blurred the line between injury and storyline. Shawn wrestled Owen Hart. He took an enziguri and collapsed in the ring. He clutched his head, fell flat, and didn't move. Medical staff hit the ring, Jerry Lawler broke character, and fans cried. It looked real. Too real. And that was the point. The WWF turned Shawn's beating into an angle, one that eventually set him up for the 1996 Royal Rumble win and his WrestleMania 12 title victory. The beating in Syracuse almost killed him, but it also helped launch the run of his life. Only in wrestling could something that ugly become something that profitable. Over time, the real story would leak. It wasn't 9 Marines, it wasn't heroic, and it wasn't some shocking ambush. It was just one drunk wrestler hitting on the wrong girl, one jealous soldier, 2 witnesses who followed him outside, a car door, boots to the face, and a whole lot of bad decisions. Marty Jannetty said it was 1 guy. Triple H later claimed it was 6, which wasn't true. Police reports said 5, other witnesses said 3. One soldier from Fort Drum said everyone on the base heard the story because the guy bragged about it. WWF would have a lawsuit but would drop it in 1996 because the soldier's lawyer threatened to bring up steroids, drug use, and Shawn's medical files in court. The company wanted distance, Shawn wanted silence, and the truth stayed buried. Until years later on 6 Feet Under, Shawn and Undertaker talked about how many times Taker saved him from getting jumped in bars. Undertaker remembered one time in Canada, Shawn Hall and Waltman causing trouble in a bar. Half the place wanted to fight them. Then, out of nowhere, BSK rolled up. Undertaker, Yokozuna, and Godfather. Black cars, black coats, on a winter night. They would tell the bar, if you go after one of us, you go after all of us, and everyone backed off. There was another night when Shawn and Razor almost got blindsided from behind, and Taker grabbed one guy in a front face lock while Curt Hennig ran in like a gremlin and raked someone's back before going back to his video game. Shawn admitted he never appreciated how much trouble he caused, or how often other guys protected him. It's one of the few things he openly regrets from that era. Shawn survived, his career survived, and his popularity exploded. But the Syracuse beating became a fracture line in the company. Shane Douglas resented it, old wrestlers rolled their eyes at it, the office panicked over it, and behind the scenes the Kliq grew even more powerful. Shawn would keep spiraling for a few years. Drug abuse, backstage chaos, fights, and burnout. But the guy who almost died in a parking lot? He's not the same man people see today. He eventually got sober, found religion, and changed completely. And now he runs NXT with a reputation for being the opposite of who he was in 1995. But that night in Syracuse, that night was a turning point. A wake-up call he never heard, because he doesn't remember any of it. In wrestling, the truth is never simple. The stories that make it to TV are cleaner, neater, easier to digest. But the reality behind the curtain is messy, scary, and sometimes almost fatal. Shawn Michaels became one of the greatest performers this business has ever seen. But in October of 1995, in a cold parking lot behind a closing bar, he came closer to losing everything than most fans will ever know.